Hey guys, Chicky Maine, aka Deboo, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com Surf Forecast Update. This forecast update effective around 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, December 17th, 2014, and starts you off over here on the Atlantic side, guys, and a look at this area of low pressure that is now southeast of Nova Scotia. This is the low that was partially responsible for providing us with that major swell event last week, and as we talked about in our last forecast update, that this system was going to move back east and possibly re-enhance a new north-northwest swell. It does look like that a small bump could be coming for Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and the southern island chains, Turks and Caicos. We also have a developing gale off the east coast. This is going to move over the next 48 hours towards Nova Scotia, and there's a possibility that we could see this thing intensify a little bit and increase some more west-northwest fetch. We'll have to watch and see what happens over the next 48 hours, but it does look like that a northeast groundswell, north-northeast groundswell is showing on the buoys. That area of low pressure this morning had max seas of 18 feet in a north-northwest swell. So that's what we're seeing here in the 24-hour swell model period is a northeast groundswell emanating from that. Here's where this area of low pressure is on this swell forecast map. The next thing we're looking at, here's a closer look at that gale that's setting up off the east coast of the United States. Again, it's going to move off towards Nova Scotia and could increase some winds into the 30 to 40 knot range. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll check that for you and provide you with the updates on Twitter and on Facebook. Now, the next thing that we're looking at is the area of low pressure that has just moved inland from the west coast. This is going to continue to track eastward towards the east coast. This is the models have been keeping a fairly southerly track on this, but however, in the back-to-back model runs, the models are acting a little funny. We noticed this during tropical season, where each consecutive run, they keep moving any intensification with the system back towards the back end of the run. We're seeing that over the last 2 days, so there's not a lot of confidence in the models. All we can do is watch this, but this is that area that we've been calling a couple days ago for a possible major swell event setting up in the Atlantic. And we'll go back to a Facebook and a tweet that we sent out a couple of days ago for you guys that don't follow us. Think of this as Cape Verde season during hurricane season. You know, think of this as Africa, and you're watching areas of low pressure moving into the Atlantic. Just like you do during hurricane season, you got to wait for that low to get over the water to see what it's going to do. We're doing the same thing here. So we've got a west to east flow, and you've got areas of low pressure that is moving in from the Pacific and crossing the United States. That would be like an area of low pressure crossing Africa and moving into the East Atlantic. So this area of low pressure, we've got about 72 hours to watch it and then kind of get some indications of what the models may start doing. But if you look at the subtropical jet here, you can see that it's injecting some moisture in here. This could provide it enough energy so that when it hits the coast and starts to draw on the Atlantic waters, we may see something try to spin up that could give us that major swell event once it hits the North Atlantic. The other negative factor is that recent model runs have actually wanted to take it, move it across Texas, into the Gulf states, off the Atlantic, and then up towards Nova Scotia fairly quickly. We don't need that for a major swell event. We need it to go off the Outer Banks and drift off to the east so it can create some strong northeast fetch. We'll have to wait and see on that. Going to move you out towards the Pacific now, and a hurricane force low that is just south of the Aleutian Islands. This low forecast, hurricane force low forecast to move off towards the east over the next 48 hours, and max seas look to be in excess of 40 feet, guys. Could see excess 45 feet over the next 48 hours. This is going to produce a strong westerly swell that's going to hit the California coast. This is the latest 48-hour swell period, showing 15 to 18 seconds with some 20-second front runners heading for the Canadian coast. Washington State is right in here. I don't know if you can see my cursor right in here, right on the borderline of some 20-second swell periods, but that's going to be moving towards the California coast over the next 48 to 72 hours. And again, that storm system is going to be located right up and about here, with max seas at 40 to 45 feet. West Coast U.S. is already getting some solid swell over the past several days. And to show you how active things are in this side of the Northern Hemisphere and Pacific, look at this other hurricane force low that is now moving away from Japan and back into the North Pacific. This is also going to get another west-northwest ground swell going. We're going to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours to see how organized that this can get. But looking at the latest 96-hour swell forecast, the storm's going to be up in here. West-northwest winds on the backside of the storm, 35 to 40 knots, 45 knots, possibly up to storm force, but this is also going to produce a north-northwest swell aimed in here towards Hawaii, showing 15 to 18 second periods heading towards Hawaii in the next 96 hours. Here's the latest run, switching you back over to the East Coast and possible major swell event. Here's the latest Euro model. Again, not a lot of weight in each individual model run. We're going to have to wait on this, but here's the last night's run of the Euro model, starting you off for tomorrow, showing that area of low pressure, that gale that's off the East Coast, moving up towards Nova Scotia, and then out to sea. And in 96 hours, you can see it's drifting off towards the east. Here's a possible little fun surf alert coming up. Northeast fetch on the backside of that low, and here's that low moving into the Gulf states. That's going to switch the winds to southwest and east on the Carolina coast right in here as this low moves in here, but southwest for Florida. If we can get enough northeast fetch in here before the winds switch to offshore, could give it time for the swell to build in and could have some fun surf alert conditions before we move right into Christmas. So keep an eye out for that. We'll update you on that. But again, here comes this area of low pressure into the Gulf states. At 5 days, we still have that area of low pressure southeast of Nova Scotia, basically replacing the one that's currently there now. And look at the OBX, the Mid-Atlantic. Low pressure moves up towards the northeast states, and it just kind of blows it away. And then look what comes in at the back of the run. Notice this explosiveness as it comes in at the back of the run. This is what the models have been doing in back-to-back runs, taking what it was doing it was giving us this for Christmas, but out in the Atlantic showing possible major swell event. This right here, if this was to come true, that would be west-northwest winds coming off the East Coast at about 40 to 50 knots, just taking the Atlantic Ocean and blowing it the other way. So that's why it doesn't give us a lot of confidence at the moment. Anyways, guys, that's all we got for you now. Stay tuned for the next update. We should be updating on that low that's going to be moving to the Gulf states over the next 24 to 48 hours. Stay tuned for the next update. Thanks.